Hello, and welcome to the Community Resilience Grants Overview. My name is Rebecca Vierhoff-Kiss. I'm the Outreach and Education Officer at Serve Ohio, and I appreciate you taking the time to listen to this recording today to get a little bit more information about your Community Resilient Grant and how to receive the funds for your Community Resilience Project. First and foremost, we wanted to say thank you so much for all that you do. This is a very challenging time for everyone in our community, but it is more challenging for some than others. And you are addressing the needs of those hit the hardest and who have some of the hardest challenges around the COVID-19 crisis. And so we appreciate all that you're doing. We appreciate you stepping up as a leader in your community and really utilizing the power of the members of your community to do good and to help others in this time of crisis. So thank you for all that you do. We recognize that the work you do is incredibly important, and we are just honored to be able to support you in that work. So this was actually a very competitive grant process. There was a lot of interest in these grants. So we're happy to support you in the amazing work that you're doing. Know that there was a lot of interest in these grants, and that the fact that you got it means that you're doing really amazing work. And so thank you for that. These grants are administered through Serve Ohio, which is Ohio's Commission on Service and Volunteerism. We strengthen Ohio communities through AmeriCorps and volunteer engagement. The two major things that we do in our office on a regular basis is we administer the AmeriCorps program across the state of Ohio. We have over 900 AmeriCorps members serving at any given time, and those members commit to 1 year of service, and they give about 1.2 million hours over the course of that year, serving their communities in a variety of ways. One of those ways is actually responding to this COVID-19 crisis. So you may or may not be working alongside some AmeriCorps members in your initiative and in your project, but these are incredible citizens who raise their hand to serve their communities throughout the year. So we're proud to administer that program across the state. The other thing that we do is we support volunteer engagement across the state as well. And this looks a variety of ways. We give out awards throughout the year to outstanding volunteers and volunteer initiatives. We provide grants, unlike this one, to support volunteer projects happening on National Days of Service, which include MLK Day, Global Youth Service Day, and Make a Difference Day. We also provide professional development for volunteer engagement managers, and we have a statewide conference on an annual basis to support the field of volunteer engagement and service. So if any of that interests you, I encourage you to check out our website to see more and to subscribe to our e-newsletter so that you can get more information about the great work that we do in our community every day. These community resilience grants are made possible through our funding partners, through the Volunteer Generation Fund, which is a program through the Corporation for National and Community Service, as well as the American Electric Power Foundation. So we thank Volunteer Generation Fund and the American Electric Power Foundation for their support, which allows us to be able to support you in supporting your local community. So this webinar is intended to give you the basics of the grant requirements and to hopefully answer any questions that you might have about the process. If you have additional questions after reviewing this webinar, you can feel free to reach out to me. You can email me or give me a call, and I will give you my contact information at the end of this presentation. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you have and talk through anything that remains unclear to you. The first thing is that these are cost reimbursement grants. So this actually requires you to purchase all supplies ahead of time, and then you will submit your receipts to us, and we will reimburse you for those costs. And here in just a minute, I'm going to go over how you submit your receipts to us, but we don't pay you up front. This is a reimbursement, so you'll need to have some funds ahead of time, and then we will pay you back. In order to receive your funds, you will need to register as a vendor with the state of Ohio. And the website is here. It's supplier.ohio.gov. And this link is also available in the grant award you received when you receive notification of your grant. We're a state of Ohio agency, and able to make payment to any organization, you need to have an account signed with our state of Ohio system. So I encourage you, if you do not have if you're not registered as a vendor in the state of Ohio, I encourage you to do that as possible so that your payment isn't held up. If this process doesn't take place prior to us processing your funds, we'll need to have this take place, and it could delay your payment. It doesn't take long. It's not a terrible process, but it might take up to a week to be approved. So again, encourage you to do that sooner rather than later so that you aren't held up in your payment. Your project must take place prior to April 30th. It can take place any time between when you are awarded your grant and April 30th. And that just means, if you purchased a lot of supplies to distribute to community members, that the date on your receipts will need to be sometime between now and April 30th of 2020. Your reports are due by May 15th. There are 2 reports that you'll need to fill out, a project report and a financial report, which I will go over here in just a minute, but both of those are due by May 15th. That doesn't mean that you have to wait till May 15th. If you go out and purchase your items today, you can submit your reports tomorrow. That's totally fine. The sooner that you complete your reports, the sooner you'll get paid. So anytime that you want to submit your financial and project reports, that's totally fine. But they must be submitted by May 15th in order to receive payment. And your payment will be dispersed once we approve your reports. It will be dispersed within 30 days. When you complete your vendor status with the state of Ohio, you can select receiving either a paper check or electronic funds transfer. If you do the electronic funds transfer, you will get the money more quickly. It could be just a couple of days before you receive your funds. If it's a paper check, of course, it's going to take a little bit longer. So in many cases, once we approve your reports, it is shorter than 30 days, but it could take up to 30 days. So just a heads up for you guys of when you can expect payment. So again, there's a financial report and a project report. And I'm actually going to pull those up right now and show those to you so that you, that is not the correct, apologize. Sorry about that. I thought I had the correct. Okay, this is the final report that we'll ask you to fill out, and you receive copies of these reports when you received your grant award notification. So you'll see that we're asking for just the name of your organization, the project manager, The location and address, just the primary location and address. I know that sometimes, projects are happening at multiple places, but the main place that it's happening. And the address is important because we like to notify elected officials of the great work that you're doing. And so we need that address to be able to know whose district that you're in. So when you include your address, please include the zip code, and that will help us to determine what district that you're in. The project date range, this varies, but just generally, if you ramped up your food distribution work starting, in mid-March and it's going on indefinitely, just say mid-March to the present or something like that. If you are doing one distribution, so let's say that you purchased a lot of toiletry items that you are going to deliver to at-risk folks in your community on a certain day, then you would just put that day that it happened. If you have questions about what should go there, just ask. You can reach out to me and I can give you some clarification. The number of community members involved. This would include if you had any volunteers or other folks who were involved with making this project happen. And again, the process behind this grant is really to bring folks together, to support initiatives that are bringing residents and folks together to address needs in their community. So to the best of your ability, how many people are coming together to solve this need? And then the number of community members impacted would be, how many people received services as a result of these grants. And then you'll put the total reimbursement requested, which this would need to match your financial report, which I'll show you in just a second. Fully describe your project, including the service activities as well as the impact. So generally, what did you do and how did it go? Make sure to list any challenges or any particular successes. We'd love to hear, how it went. And then provide any photos, videos, or media as appropriate, right? So we don't want you to share photos of folks if it's not appropriate. But something that may be appropriate is if you purchase lots of toiletry items, would be to take pictures of all of the items that you receive. That would be something great that we would love to look at. If it is appropriate to take pictures, maybe you have some volunteers who are sorting things. That would be great. Or maybe, maybe it is appropriate to kind of take a picture of somebody receiving, a box of food or something. But I'll leave that to you to determine what you think is appropriate. But again, we love to see photos of the great work that you're doing. So anything that you could send us would be great. And then if there is any media coverage, we would really love to get a link to that as well. Sign and date, and again, this is due to me by May 15th in conjunction with your financial report, but anytime that you complete it, you can send it. Okay, so let me now pull up the financial report here. So this is an example of the financial report. Both reports you received via email. So what we'll need for this, you will put your grant award number here, which can be found on the grant award you received when you got notification of your grant. The project title, you can just put the name of your organization. If it doesn't have a specific title, that's fine. The grantee name, this needs to match what's on your grant award. And then the address, again, this should match what's on your grant award as well as what is in your vendor ID. So when you complete that State of Ohio vendor process, just make sure that this address matches what's on there. And so this is just an example. I just have an example that is Target here. Obviously, the vendors that you purchase supplies from could be anybody in your local community, but this is just an example. Every receipt that you have that you are going to be charging to the grant will need to be listed here under the vendor. You don't need to itemize everything on each receipt. So if you went to Target and you purchased toilet paper, tissues, and medicine, just put a general description of what you bought. You don't have to write down everything that is on that receipt. You are going to submit your receipt, so I'll see it. Just in here, the purchase description, just in general. What did you buy? The total cost, this would need to be the full amount of the receipt. And then amount paid from grant. This usually matches, but let's say that you have a grant that is $1,500 and your receipt is for $2,500. Well, you obviously can't charge $2,500 to the grant because the grant is only for $1,500. So in that case, the total cost would be $2,500, but the amount paid from grant is going to be $1,500 because you can only charge $1,500 to the grant. Hopefully that's clear. But in most cases, these two will match, and the total amount that you spent will be under the grant amount, and then you would charge that total amount to the grant. The payment reference is how you paid it. If you paid via credit card, just put credit card here. If you paid it via purchase order, we'd like to see the purchase order number here. Or if you paid via check, we'd love to see the check number there as well. The payment date is the date that is on the receipt. This needs to be prior to April 30th. If anything is dated after April 30th, I will ask why, because all of the purchases and all of the project activities must take place prior to April 30th. The payee of record, this is you would only use this if an organization was charging this and they reimburse money to a staff member. So let's say a staff member from the grantee organization purchased things with cash or something. The organization may be reimbursed staff member, but they're charging that to this grant. And so if that happened, you would just put who actually received a reimbursement from the organization. 9 times out of 10, you do not need to have any information here. So if you paid by credit card, if you paid by check, if you paid by purchase order or something like that, you will not need to put anything under payee of record. If you have questions about this column, let me know. Happy to provide additional clarification. You'll need to have, for each receipt that you have, you need to list them as a vendor. If you have multiple Amazon receipts, you'll need to have multiple lists here. So you might have, 5 different Amazon orders. Put each one there so that it's clear to me what each receipt is. And then the total reimbursement request at the bottom, that just needs to be totaled. And this is going to be the amount that you request for us to pay you. At the bottom, make sure to sign and date, put your phone number, the name and title of the person who is completing this financial report, and then the email of that person as well. So that is the financial report. I hope that is all clear. If it's not, please don't hesitate to email me or reach out to me, and I would be happy to provide further clarification of those. A note on outreach, we are planning to send out a press release to local organizations and letting them know about the great work that you're doing. If you don't want us to do that, please just let me know. There are several reasons why maybe you would prefer for us not to do that. But one of our goals is first to support your project, but then also to let people know about the great work that you're doing, because you're so busy with doing the work. Oftentimes it's pretty hard to do some outreach on your end as well. So we see our role as really letting people know about the great work you're doing. But if you have capacity, we really encourage you to reach out locally as well and educate folks about the amazing work that you're doing to support your community in this crisis. So hopefully that all is clear and that you know how you'll be funded for this grant and how to complete your reports. If you have any questions or anything remains unclear, don't hesitate to reach out to me, please. My email address is here. And then my cell phone number is 614-843-6731. Please use my cell phone because I'm actually working from home at this time, and my office phone, I don't have access to it on a regular basis. So if you have questions, the best way is probably email, but if you need to give me a call my cell phone. Thank you again for all that you're doing in your local community. We appreciate all that you do, not just during this difficult time, but every day. We know that the work you do is incredibly important in your community, and we're very thankful for you for doing it. So congratulations on receiving a grant, and please reach out if you have any questions. Thank you so much.